Hello and welcome. My name is Matt Giordano. If you haven't practiced with me before, welcome. I'm excited to share this practice. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing resiliency, and that is the ability to bounce back from challenging situations in our life and to continue forward. Now, I also want to bring in the subject of in the Yoga Sutras, there's something called abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasa and vairagya are this conversation around effort and surrender. The way that I like to translate it, or the way that I've heard that I feel is really powerful, is well-placed effort and surrendering to the results of our efforts. Now, that being said, another way we can kind of look at abhyasa and vairagya is with the well-placed effort, letting go of effort that is no longer needed. So they're kind of two different conversations. The one I really want to focus regarding resilience is figuring out which efforts are appropriate for us and where in our life. And it's just a conversation that I want to bring up, and hopefully this can maybe inspire you in your life. The concept of resiliency, to be able to bounce back from challenging situations. Now that's kind of the definition that I looked up. The key word there that I want to point out is bounce back. And that's something that I want to discuss, because I don't know that resiliency has to be bouncing back, but it could also be bouncing forward. It's the ability to, in my eyes at least, to shift, pivot, change, and grow, or take new action according to the challenges that we are facing, which may very well be bouncing back, but it also might be bouncing forward to something new for ourselves. And I think with the subject, if we think about the pandemic and when COVID-19 began, some people took it as just like waiting until things went back to normal. And they were faced with these, and not everybody, but a lot of people were faced with these challenges that they had to stick it out, stick the course. And some people took resiliency as the ability to stay the course and just wait it out and face those kind of challenges, and hopefully things would bounce back to normal. Now, that worked for some people, and for other people it didn't, because things never did bounce back to normal, depending on when you're watching this video. But I would venture to guess that things will never bounce back to normal. And for some, that worked out, and others it did not. Okay, so bouncing back didn't actually work because of the way that life was structured after some big shift, big change. Now, there was another group of people in this world that took it as an opportunity to pause, reflect, and make a shift, to change, to ask themselves what they truly wanted, if they wanted things to go back to the way they were, or if maybe they wanted to change their actions and go a new route. So abhyasa and vairagya could be efforts and letting go of the results, but it could also be efforts and letting go of other effort that is no longer needed. Because how many times have you held on? I can speak for myself that I've held on to situations that in the past that didn't serve me, and I keep taking actions to try to bring it back to life. Whether it was like a relationship or a song that I tried to write that I kept bringing back, and it just never was working. Sometimes bouncing back, let's say the example of the song, eventually you could write it and it's like, oh, I'm so glad I went back to that. But other times it's like, this is just not working. Why not place the efforts in some other direction? Because we only have so much effort, right? There's only so much willpower within us. It's like a resource that is limited. Yes, it'll replenish, but if we keep putting it on something that no longer serves us, if we keep putting our effort on things that no longer are amounting to something that we want, then we're wasting that valuable resource. And so this idea of resiliency is to take what's coming at us in life, take the current situation, observe it, acknowledge the challenges we're facing, and either stay the course because it just requires time for things to unfold. And that is this idea of vairagya, is to surrender to the results and the timing of the results. So on one hand, we have to self-reflect. Am I putting the effort in the right places? And if so, the unfolding of my effort, the manifestation of my efforts is going to take time, and I can't control that. I can only control my actions. So abhyasa and vairagya right there is the idea of, let me put my effort forth and then let life unfold, okay? But now on the flip side, abhyasa and vairagya is a great tool to reflect and ask yourself, are my actions aligned with my intentions, with what I'm ultimately trying to create? I always think about like bouncing back from that relationship that you were in, and we all can relate to an old relationship, right? That maybe we kept going back to even though it wasn't serving us. So we kept taking the same actions even though the results of those actions never served us, right? Maybe it served us for a short period of time, and then we keep taking those actions hoping things were going to go back the way they were, but they never did, right? So I think of that example in the letting go there, the vairagya there is letting go of those actions because the results, the intended results, are not manifesting the way that we want them to, and they haven't, and they've proven themselves over and over again to not be going in the direction that we want to live. So in this case, with the teaching of abhyasa and vairagya, is to move on and place your actions somewhere else. Do something that is going to actually serve you. And the big difference now, you have these two ideas, right? We're trying to self-reflect. Basically, the self-reflection is, are my actions placed on something that no longer serves me and ultimately never will again, most likely? Or are my actions currently placed in something that is serving me? How do I know? You can feel it. You can feel when something, when you put well-placed effort on something, but the results haven't come yet, there's still a fulfillment with every day. There's still a fulfillment at the end of the day. You might feel like, man, that was a challenging experience. I really had to stay the course. I really had to sit in the fire of transformation for myself. I had to put a lot of effort in, a lot of sleepless nights, whatever it is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I felt fulfilled by those challenges. And even though the results or the manifestation of my efforts have not come yet, I still feel fulfilled. On the other hand, you don't feel fulfilled. You're wasting your effort. You know inside of you, you're grasping for something that's not coming, right? And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel fulfilling. So when I'm talking about abhyasa and vairagya, this idea of well-placed effort and surrender, the question is, what are we surrendering to? We could be surrendering to the results of our well-placed efforts, so long as on this side of the equation, our efforts are fulfilling us. Or on this side of the equation that we're talking about, this idea of abhyasa and vairagya, the efforts that we're putting in are actually wasted. And so in this case, we should be letting go of the effort or the specific actions, I would say, that we were taking over here, that's wasted energy, wasted effort. And when we talk about resiliency, it's being self-reflective on these two sides of the equation, because they're not so black and white. It's hard to tell sometimes which one is which and when it's happening, and they're usually happening simultaneously. So what I invite you to reflect upon in your life, and I can't tell you which side of the equation you're on right now, or I can't even say, I don't know you or your life, and when the pandemic hit, whether or not you went one direction or the other. I could say personally for me, I can share my own story, is that I had really been wanting in my life to make a shift. my career, that is. I wanted to be home more. My career was spent traveling the world, which was beautiful and I loved it, but it was it was really my goal of 8 years ago, and it was realized, and it was wonderful, and I still want to continue to travel, but I noticed I was burning out because I wasn't home. I wasn't grounding myself. I was getting sick more often. The amount of times I had to be in airports overnight, in airplanes, sleeping on airplanes, sleeping in hotels, it just got to me, and I wanted to bring my business online. But I didn't have the confidence that it would actually be something financially stabilizing. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit that I had a choice. I either just waited out, which I would still be waiting. I'd be, I don't know, however many months into, I don't know, we're like almost 9 months now, right? I'd be waiting about 9 months, and really I'm thinking about 2021 now, looking forward. I apologize if you're watching this video way in the future, which you might be. But when I'm thinking about looking forward, I'm probably not going to be touring for another year. So that would be all income lost. I didn't know that at the time, but I knew in my heart that I wanted to shift my business online anyway. So I decided to pivot, and that to me is I would say a way of me expressing my ability to be resilient. My ability to say, like, here's the current situation, here's what you want, this is an opportunity for you to make a shift. You could either sit and be upset that we've lost all this and then we can't, that I won't be able to tour, I won't have any income, I won't really have my ability to share the practice that I love with other people. Or I can make a shift, I can make a change, and I can place my actions elsewhere. And so that's what I did. And for me, it's been, in the last 9 months have been the most challenging 9 months, but the most fulfilling that I've had in a while. And that ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's it's complete release of joy, and other times it's not. I had no idea that I'd be able to reach the amount of people that I reach on a daily basis now with my teacher trainings, with my online immersions. Between those two things, I've got a really beautiful community of people that I'm sharing with on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, and now I'm able to see the fruits of my efforts, and as the results of my actions are manifesting in a beautiful way. So I'm sure that in your life you have an example like that. And so it's not that some individuals are resilient and some are not. We all have resiliency within us. It's just a question of where we're placing our efforts, and where we're letting go of what. Are we letting go of the efforts that don't serve us, or are we wasting our energy on the efforts that really are never going to manifest into something that we love? And then are we chasing after the goal and not paying attention to placing our effort on the actions that we're taking on this in this moment? Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to get started in our practice and just have this conversation flowing as we move into our body now. It's more of a life conversation, right? This is more of a conversation that is something that I like us, for me personally, I'd say that I like to replay in my head, and I would invite you to as well, as you're going throughout your life. That's great on your yoga mat, but it's really a life teaching. And that's why, it's in the Yoga Sutras, Abhyasa and Vairagya. So let's get started. And take your knees wide and arms out in front. Come into a child's pose. I like to have just a couple of blocks nearby. I would say it's probably a good idea for you too, just in case you'd like to grab them at any time. You're always welcome to modify anything I provide for you. So the essence of what we're talking about today is self-reflection. Yes, the topic is resiliency and effort and surrender. But in order to be resilient, and as I suggested, in order to assess whether our efforts are well placed or not, and if we are hanging on to something that's no longer serving us, that we could instead let go of. In order to have that
conversation with ourselves. We must be able to self-reflect, to have a dialogue with ourselves, to be able to be truthful and honest with ourselves and vulnerable. I would say most of the time that we don't make a shift is because we're not willing to be honest with ourselves. We don't let go of our pursuit of some old dream, or we don't let go of that old job or the relationship, or we keep taking action with something that's not working and we know it's not. And that's usually because we're not being honest and vulnerable with ourselves, or perhaps we're not being courageous enough to take action in a new direction. So let's be self-reflective today in our yoga practice by observing the movement of breath inside of us, observing the sensations that we will be creating with our actions in our body, waking up. On the inhale, shift your weight forward to all fours, hands and knees, arch the back and look up. Exhale, round the back and gaze towards your navel. Inhale, arch and look up. Exhale and round. Inhale, arch and look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch, look up. Tuck the toes if they're not already, and come to down dog as you exhale. Take a few breaths. You can pedal out your legs or change the shape in any way that feels good for you. Perhaps wagging the tail a little right to left. Come to stillness, and on the inhale, shift forward to plank pose. Pause in your plank, grip the fingers into the ground, activating the forearms, and take a moment. Expand the upper back by pushing the ground away. And place the knees down on the exhale, child's pose. Inhale to all fours, hands and knees arch, look up. Exhale, tuck toes, down dog. Right foot to the sky on the in-breath. Bend the knee, open up your hip as you exhale. Breathe into the right side of your body. On the inhale, straighten the right leg, square the hip. Step right foot forward, exhale. Come up onto the fingertips and take a breath. Soften. Let go of some of the unnecessary effort that is not needed in the posture. The eyes can be relaxed, the cheeks, the muscles around the face. And now we place the effort intentionally in the areas that stabilize us, ground us, connect us to balance. So pull your 2 feet toward each other and lift the hips up a little bit higher. Press your right heel, that's the front one, down until your fingers get light. Take a breath to lengthen through the skull, get long from the back foot to the front of the head. Exhale, hands down, downward facing dog. Forward to plank pose, inhale. Exhale, child's pose, hips to heels. Now listen carefully, we're going to take a swim. The left arm as you come forward is going to sweep back and then around as you inhale. Exhale back to child's pose. Same thing on the right side. Inhale, sweep the right arm back, big stretch, open it up. Exhale, child's pose. 2 more each side. Inhale, left side. Open up the chest. Exhale. Inhale, right side. Exhale. Left side, inhale, big, expansive, reach, 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 reach. Exhale. Right side. Exhale. Hands and knees, all fours. Inhale, arch, tuck the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's bring left leg to the sky, inhale. Bend knee, open up the hip. Enjoy our breath into the left side of your waistline. On the inhale, straighten the legs, square the hip. Step forward as you exhale. First, we take a breath. And always start with a softening. This helps us with the self-reflection to decide and make a little bit of a decision on how and where to release unnecessary effort so that we can place the effort in the right spaces. Start by gathering strength in the legs. Pull your feet toward each other. And press the front heel down till your hips rise and your hands get lighter. Lengthen through the top of the head. Exhale to down dog. Forward to plank, inhale. Child's pose as you exhale. Swimming, starting with the right. Inhale, right arm sweeps back. Big, open, reach the arm as long as it goes. Exhale. Left side. Exhale. All fours, hands and knees. This time, as you exhale, lean forward, Chaturanga. Start with baby cobras. Lift the heart up on the inhale. Exhale, release. 2 more to warm up the back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Tuck toes, exhale, downward facing dog. Let's enjoy 3 breaths together. Exhale. Now in the stillness, when the postures are not moving and we're not having to pay attention to balance and everything, that's when we reassess and observe, we self-reflect. Life will always give us a moment to self-reflect. It's just a matter of if we take the opportunity or not. Most of the time we're so caught up with whatever past experience we're hanging on to, what we're not letting go of, that we don't have the time, we don't even acknowledge when life has provided us with that opportunity to self-reflect. Walk your feet to the front of the mat. When you get there, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, bow. Please interlace your hands behind your back. Start by letting your shoulders fall towards your ears. Relax them. And then, with them softened and relaxed, start to work your elbows and your shoulder blades toward each other. That's where the effort is. So the softness and the surrender is letting the shoulders fall with gravity. The effort, in this case, is drawing your shoulder blades together. It's like you're trying to squeeze your elbows toward each other. Now, try to maintain that effort of retracting your scapula, it's called, shoulder blades together, and stretch the arms overhead, straightening the elbows. Let's take a full breath in. And out. One more. Bend the elbows, hands to the hips. Big back bend, arch the back to rise. All the way to stand. Tadasana. Let's take a moment here.
Inhale, reach to the sun, Urdhva Hastasana. To the earth, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Half lift, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Left foot steps back, exhale. Place the left knee down. Inhale, rise, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Exhale, hands to heart. Take your thumbs in your armpits, if you don't mind, and hope you showered today. And start to wiggle the left and right shoulder and rib cage up taller. So hips forward, but try to pick your rib cage and shoulder up towards your ear. So you get long and you begin to stretch the inner abdominals here and outer abdominals. Then lift the right side up taller. And see if you can get what's called in the yoga tradition is Uddiyana Bandha. In anatomy, that's called transverse abdominal engagement. So your deep abdominals cinch inward and help you to lift upward if you use your back muscles too. So shoulders up, rib cage up, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Hips forward a little bit. Now pause. Pull your back knee towards your front knee until you feel your inner thigh activate. This will warm up our hip flexors so we can stretch them a little bit further. Lift the abdomen and then open your arms into a cactus-like shape. Remember that retraction we talked about? Move your shoulder blades together. Retract the scapula. Holding this, press your heart up to the sky, keeping your shoulder blades retracted. Take a full breath in and release. Lean forward, hands to the ground. Step to plank pose, inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga, lean forward and lower. This time, slide your fingers wide, come onto your fingertips. Widen your feet to about as wide as your yoga mat. Inhale, start by lifting the chest off the ground. Okay, then see if you can come out of the, a lot of people feel low back compression here. To come out of that, press your low rib cage and heart forward towards the front of the mat, and it helps to actually retract the scapula. So soften your shoulder blades toward each other. Now pull your chest forward in front of your shoulders the best you can and take a full breath in, lift the belly, lift the heart, and release. Let's try one more time just to kind of get the hang of it in case you're new to practicing with me. First, inhale, lift the chest off the ground. Exhale, soften the chest in front so your shoulder blades come together. Now, pull the heart forward in front of the shoulders like you're trying to slither your way through your arms, and then lift the belly up towards the throat. Exhale, release. Well done. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Let's take a full breath in and out. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Last breath. Now on this inhale, lift the heels up, look forward. You have the option to walk, step, or hop on the exhale to the front of the mat. When you get there, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, bow, Uttanasana. To the sun, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Hands to heart, Samastiti. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Uttanasana, forward fold. Half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Right foot steps back. Knee comes to the earth and come on up. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands through the heart. And go to the thumbs to the armpits, okay? So this is just gonna be like a self-adjustment to help you kind of feel what it's like. Yes, you can be really heavy here and kind of ground down with your chest. That usually leads to a compressive feeling in the spine, a lack of spaciousness. So my suggestion to gain spaciousness in the spine, 2 things. First, yes, lean forward, but pull your back knee towards your front knee. until your hips lift up. This will start the initiation of well-placed effort to give you a rise, okay? So pull your effort into your inner thighs and your hip flexors here and your hamstrings of the front leg to pull upward. Then carry that upward into the abdomen by getting longer, wiggle your way taller, okay? Lift, lift, lift. You might even take your hands to your soft tissue of your abdomen and gently pull the skin upward to increase the length, okay? Now, like we talked about, retract the scapula, pull them together, and take your cactus arms. Keep the hips are still leaning forward, but they're still also rising up from the strength of your inner legs. Lift the belly, lift the heart, pull the shoulder blades together. Press the chest to the front. One more big breath in. Exhale, release hands to the ground. Inhale, plank. Chaturanga. Slide the hands wide, fingertips, feet a little wide. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, soften, low ribs and solar plexus forward. Pull the chest through. Inhale, lift the belly upward, that Uddiyana Bandha that we talked about, transverse abdominals. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing Adho Mukha Svanasana. We take a moment to self-reflect. Observe the experience that you're having. Can you feel the sensations of your body starting to wake up? Maybe something specific is calling out to you. Can you feel your breath flowing through you? Lift the heels up. Inhale, look forward. Empty the breath out, hopper step. Half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. To the sun, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. To the heart, exhale. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Half lift, inhale. Step or hop back, Chaturanga Dandasana. One breath for Cobra or Up Dog. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward as you exhale, back knee down. Inhale, cactus the arms. Lift and lengthen the belly. Exhale, hands to the earth. Inhale, plank, slow and steady. Chaturanga. Cobra or upward dog, your choice. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Left side up. Step forward. Back knee down, inhale, rise. Exhale, hands to the ground. Inhale, slow and steady plank. Chaturanga. Cobra or up dog. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Sometimes life moves fast. And then there's a pause. Are you too wrapped up, and this is the question I ask myself, am I too wrapped up in what just happened to pay attention to what is happening now? Now, in the pause, is the time to reflect upon what you were experiencing, the results of what happened. Can you feel the sensations of your body, the breath flowing through you? Lift the heels up on the inhale, look forward. Empty the breath out, hop or step lightly. Half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. Bend the knees, place the hands on the thighs. Sit upward. Okay, let's start with, we'll just do lifted toes for now, and move your knees and hips back over your heels. And with your hips back over your heels, sit a little bit lower, but try not to move the knees forward. And press your heels outward just to get your outer hip band buttock muscle active, and sit lower. Okay, now here's the challenge for you. When you sit into this position like Utkatasana chair pose, what tends to happen is the belly kind of collapses downward. And what we're going to try to do today is get lifted using the transverse abdominals, those deep abdominals. Draw the belly in and up until your heart lifts. Okay, what you could do is you can kind of put a hand on your back. You want to feel these low back vertebrae, those are your spine, start to arch. And you have to use the muscles on either side of your spine to do that. Okay, so your chest lifts, and you're going to feel your back muscles activating. But it's not just enough to have your back muscles active. We have to get the deep belly in and up so that there's a rise, a lengthening. You can think about the armpits and the wiggle, get tall. Now we'll start in this position. That's right, I said start. And take cactus arms, okay? With the cactus arms, pull your shoulder blades toward each other. Again, that's called retraction. So we have a couple of things really that we're focusing on. One, the belly lifting in and up, keeping the arch of your low back, and then retracting the scapula. Okay, let's hold this. Take a few more breaths. And in the stillness of the challenge, can we reflect upon the experience that we're having? Not running away from it, not trying to change it, not trying to fight it, but rather staying in it. Someone who is really resilient doesn't try to run away, doesn't try to change it. They react according to the situation that they are in. And they place their efforts in accordance to the situation and what they're trying to create. Bow forward, Uttanasana. Now inhale, halfway lift. Again, we'll pause here for a second. Press the backs of your hamstrings out in order to tip the pelvis more anteriorly. That means stick your bum to the sky more. Then bow forward. Now I'd like you to take your hands, interlace the fingers, the other pinky, whatever that is, on the outside. So whatever you normally grab, just switch the interlacing. And again, surrender or soften. Abhyasa and Vairagya, to surrender what is not necessary. In this case, soften your shoulder muscles so that they come all the way to the ears. Now, the idea of effort in the rhomboid muscles that retract the scapula. So pull your shoulder blades together and then reach your hands towards overhead, okay? Opening up the shoulder girdle, opening up the pectorals, the deltoid muscles in the front. And breathe along the sides of the body. One more breath. Hands to the hips. Big back bend. Arch the back, leading with your heart forward. Tuck the tail and rise up to stand. Pause, take a breath. Chair pose. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Half lift on the inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, prepare. Chaturanga Dandasana. Curl open, cobra or up dog, inhale. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Right leg to the sun, inhale. Step forward. This time, rise to a high lunge position. Come into your cactus arms. Okay, let's see if you can firm up your back leg, but lift your abdomen up. That's going to be a little bit of a stretch down through the psoas, all the way through the hip flexors to the quads here. Okay, if you get the belly to lift up. And then let's explore some movements of the arms so that we can really feel the difference between protraction, which is separating your shoulder blades, and retraction, which you've been going over. Okay, so let's do it with the breath. On the inhale, protract, separate your shoulder blades. Exhale, retract, shoulder blades together. Inhale, Protract, solar blades apart. Exhale. Retract, pull the collarbones open. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach the arms up. Open up, warrior two. Okay, another action I'd like to add on. So we've got the transverse abdominals. And then we have retraction of the scapula. And now we're gonna just figure out how to do shoulder rotations. So if you turn inward, your biceps, which is here, will face downward, okay? If you turn outward, external rotation, your biceps will face upward. So inhale, internally rotate. Exhale, externally rotate. Make sure it's all the way up at the bicep, not just the palms. Inhale, internally rotate. Exhale, externally rotate. Palms try to face backwards. Inhale. Exhale. Should we do two more? Yeah. Reverse warrior, lift the abdomen up. Get tall, get tall, get tall. Warrior two, exhale. Two more like that. Let's get into the spine, lift the belly up. Lift the rib cage up, lift the shoulder up. Exhale. One more. Hands to the ground, exhale. Plank, inhale. Chaturanga. Cobra or up dog, your choice. Exhale, down dog. Left leg to the sky. Step forward. Push down, rise, high lunge. Bend the elbows, cactus arms. So we're gonna just reverse the breath for this round. Try something different. First, get longer. Lift the belly up and firm up the back leg. You'll feel that all the way in the deep core here, stretching on the right side. We'll take a breath in to retract this time. And out. Separate your shoulder blades, protract. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to retract. This time, exhale, pause. Try to keep your retracted scapula and inhale, palms up to the sky. Open up, warrior two. Bend the elbows this time. We'll exaggerate. Same action we did 5 times. First, take a breath. Lift the belly up. Inhale, externally rotate, reversing the breath. Exhale, internally rotate. 4 more. Three more. Two more. Last one. Arms out to the side, take a breath, reverse warrior. Warrior two. 2 more, you got this. Lift and lengthen the belly. Exhale. Last one. Exhale, hands to the ground. Plank, inhale. Chaturanga. Cobra or upward dog, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. And we take a moment here for self-reflection. That was a lot of effort.
But as we are putting effort and holding a posture, we're also getting to know our shoulder girdle. Now feel your shoulders as a result. Push the ground away. Can you feel the heat around your neck, the heat around your shoulder girdle, the armpits, the deltoids, that is? Lift the heels, inhale, look forward. Empty the breath, hop or step. Half lift when you get there. Exhale, bow. Bend the knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Half lift, inhale. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg to the sky. Step forward. High lunge, rise. Warrior two. Reverse warrior. Hands to the ground, exhale. Listen carefully, pivot the back knee to the earth and heel toe the right foot out to the right. Turn the right toes out. Left hand to the left. Now, we have two actions in the shoulders that we know now. One is retraction. So to do that in this position, you'll actually have to soften your chest towards the ground and your shoulder blade will move towards the spine. The second action we know is external rotation. So you can do that by taking your right hand and spinning your bicep out so you know which direction to go. Keeping that, then slowly turn your chest to face straight forward. Now bend the back knee, reach for your foot for a thigh stretch, or if you can't grab the foot, grab a strap around your foot. Okay, now you're gonna notice once you did that, that your bottom shoulder probably jet forward, internally rotated and protracted, right? So you're gonna go, shoulder is gonna go back behind your chest and rotate out with the arm. Same is true for the hand that's grabbing the foot. Move your shoulder blade towards your spine and see if you can externally rotate so the bicep faces up. It's okay if your elbows are bent during this, there's no problem with that. Now can you find your transverse abdominals, that Uddiyana Bandha action where the belly pulls in and towards your heart to lengthen the spine? Last thing I'll just share with you is if you press your foot, like you kick your foot back into your hand, your body will be more appreciative of that. It won't feel like it's falling apart and it'll feel like it's a lot more safe. So if you activate your quads while they stretch, they will appreciate that. It's called a facilitated stretch. It increases flexibility through something called the Golgi tendon organ, which receives how much tension is on a muscle. If you increase the tension by activating it, the brain sends a signal back to the muscle to release the tension. Now, since it can't release the activation because you're doing that, but it can release the other tension that is involved there, the unconscious tension. And you'll feel, as a result, your foot can come in closer. If you hold, you have to hold it for about 10 seconds with that activation. Okay, and release. Step into plank. And Chaturanga, exhale all the way to the ground. Slide the hands wide onto your fingertips. Inhale, lift the chest. Feet wide. Exhale, soften. Shoulder blades retract. Pull the heart forward and up. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck toes, exhale, down dog. Left side, up to the sky, inhale. Step forward. High lunge, rise. Open up, Virabhadrasana 2. Reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground. Again, other side. Back knee pivots down, front foot, heels, toes to the left. Right arm to the right. And set yourself up. I'm going to face you for a second just so you can see, just to make sure we're all on the same page here. The front shoulder tends to, when you bear weight, it tends to kind of move forward, okay? See if you can actually soften the shoulder blade for today, I mean, there's other times where that's okay and that's normal, but for today's purposes, can you move your shoulder blade back towards your spine and then externally rotate bicep, the upper arm bone, outward? If you can do both of those actions, great, and then turn your chest and reach with your free hand for the foot or strap behind you around the foot. Okay, so now you'll notice that I'm not activating the abdominals here like this. I'm trying to surrender or release where effort is not needed. So vairagya is letting go of the effort that is not needed, in this case the abdomen. And then the deep core, which is called transverse abdominals, that you can activate by drawing the belly in, and that will help to kind of create that suctioning of the heart away from the hips, increasing the distance, increasing the range of motion of your spine. It'll feel like it decompresses your spine when you do it properly. It's hard to tell because sometimes you activate the other part of the abdomen, which is the more superficial. We know this is rectus abdominis, the six pack, and that feels like compressing the spine. When you're first learning, it's hard to know the difference. Over time, you can really feel it quite significantly. Again, I suggest pressing the back foot into your hand to activate the quads while they're stretching. Okay, release your thigh stretch. Step to plank pose. Chaturanga. Slide the hands wide, fingertips, inhale, lift. Feet wide, exhale, soften, chest in front of the shoulder blades retract. Inhale, pull the belly up to the heart, up through the skull. Exhale, release. All fours, hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's take a full breath in and a breath out. Lift the heels, inhale, look forward. Empty it out, hop or step to the front. Half lift when you get there. Exhale and bow. Bend the knees, Utkatasana. Pause, hands on thighs. Hips back. Now let's get the belly up tall. Lift, 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 lift. Retract the scapula as much as you can. Externally rotate, the palms will face up. And reach the hands back behind you. Heart forward, hips back. You're gonna feel your back muscles activate if you move your hips back, heart forward and up. Shoulders back. All right, and then stand up. Take your hand to a wall, okay, and it'll simply lift your shoulder up, okay, shoulder up to the ear, and then retract the shoulder, okay, up, retract, and then externally rotate, turn the bicep upward or even backwards. Okay, then do your best to keep, you can take your hand, and I'm just showing you here, to kind of pull the shoulder back, push the shoulder back, hold it there, and then see if you can turn your body away from the shoulder. Now, it's important to know that your pectoral muscles, the pecs here, are attached to the shoulder, so the more you turn away, the more the shoulder wants to go with you because of that attachment. See if you can lengthen the pectorals by pulling the shoulder blade towards the spine. Okay, that'll be a big stretch, probably all the way through to your hand. Rotate the arm a little more externally, so bicep faces up and back even. Okay, and then release. It's the sweet release of well-placed effort, right? It's fulfilling. It's like, oh, wow, that was excellent. Okay. Take the left hand. Again, action one, up. Action two, yeah, well, I didn't tell you about that yet necessarily, but now I'll tell you. Action one is up. Action two is back, and action three is externally rotate the arm, okay? Now you can use your other hand, the right hand, to kind of keep your shoulder head back as you turn your chest away from the wall. Again, the pectoral muscles here are attached to the shoulder there, so they're going to continuously try to pull the shoulder over. See if you can keep the shoulder back, shoulder blade towards the spine as you turn away, so you feel that nice long stretch. Now, of course, observing if the stretch is too intense, don't turn as far away from the wall. Okay, you want to have it at an intensity where you can breathe. You're not like gripping your face, soften your eyes, soften the skin around your face. If you're not capable of doing that, then you are too deep, right? Okay, and then release that. Come onto your knees. So for today's peak posture, we're going to be going over a side variation of camel pose. Now, when I see people do camel pose, more often than not, I see the approach is starting from here, holding the back, pressing the tailbone down, and then praying. And usually what that results in is quite a lot of discomfort in the low back, a lot of pressure, gravitational pressure going down, and very little support. And it's just a prayer if your hands get down there, right? So instead, I think it's more beneficial to start in a position that's grounded, and you only go up as high as your body is ready for. Rather than using gravity to kind of push down, we actually work against gravity, and this way we're not forcing ourselves into a pose. So the actions is step 1, shoulder goes up. Step 2, shoulder blade retracts, so shoulder will go back as a result. So retract. Now you follow that by trying to externally rotate the arm, and as a result, you'll see in my chest here, so up, back, you'll see my chest pops forward. Okay, that's the shoulder blade nudging the heart. Now with the other side, there are many things you can do. You can kind of prop your shoulder up, you can take your hand behind your head, or reach to the sky. That's the direction that you want the rib cage to go. I usually give myself a little indication. And then you'll press down into the heel like this to move the hips forward, but the heart up to the sky. Kind of looking downward in order to move the shoulder back and around. Okay, then you just sit your buttocks back down. You see how there's an arch position? I keep it the whole way. So your turn, try it with me. I suggest toes tucked because it's less of a back bend. It's less of a reach for the arm. You don't have to be as flexible, but you could point your feet if it's really unbearing, or you can roll up your mat and put it underneath your knees, and it'll be easier on the toes and the ankle. I meant to say unbearable. I don't know what I said. I think I said unbearing. Okay, so let's do left side together. Step 1, shoulder up. Step 2, that retraction of your scapula, so your shoulder will go back. Step 3, try to rotate the bicep, and then see if you can find your transverse. Lift your belly and your heart up, and then pull your chest to the sky by pushing down into your hand. Okay, your hand pushes down, your chest pulls upward, upward, upward to the sky for half camel. You could always place your hand behind your head if you like. Okay, then you just sit your hips back, and then once your hips are down, you can release the spine. I don't recommend doing any sort of rolling up or down so that you don't damage the disc between your back. Just keep the back bend. Let's try the other side. So you take your right hand now to your heel. Shoulder goes up and back. So 1 up, 2 retract, 3 rotate, and that will kind of force you already into the back bend. You'll feel your rib cage poke forward. Okay, then press down into the hand to move the heart to the sky. Lengthen, get longer. Press the left ribs as high as they go. And hips go back to release. All right, so that's half camel on both sides. Let's just do a pigeon on each side to cool down and release the hips. Right shin across the mat. Move the hips back. Take a little bit of a bow. I like to bow to the left, increase the hip stretch. You might want to bow forward if that's too intense. Take a few breaths.
Abhyasa and vairagya is not only about surrendering the appropriate efforts, it's also knowing when to slow down. Even if your efforts are well placed, it's easy to get carried away and burn out. So you want to make sure that with your well placed effort that you let go not only of the things that are burning, like that really are not well aligned, I should say, with where you want to go. You let go of those things, but also let go of the extra effort that's not really needed, even if it's in alignment, because sometimes, you just keep going and it's too much. Your effort starts to become, yes, maybe well placed, but maybe not well executed. Maybe you start to lose some of the quality of your effort if you burn out. Okay, come on out. Switch to the left shin. Again, you can bow straight forward. I like to bow off to the right. A little bit deeper of a stretch. And one way we can be resilient in our efforts is to add in practices like yoga, like meditation, pranayama, just breathing, and self-reflection, as I mentioned a few times, just constantly reflecting and asking ourselves questions, the right questions. And what that can do, what these practices can do for us, is clear away anything that is blocking our perception, allowing us to see ourselves really more clearly. So we can see when our effort maybe is just perhaps over-efforting in areas that don't serve us, or over-efforting even in areas that do serve us, but it's not necessary. It's too much. All right, come on out. I suggest just coming right onto your back. We'll come into happy baby pose. And Shavasana. Take a full breath in and let it out the mouth. Release anything that is no longer needed. If you don't have any injuries or anything, then you can just relax your body completely. And allow the mind to observe the sensational experience of being alive. Observe the sensations you've created from your actions. And enjoy the delight of the complete letting go.
your breath back to your awareness. Awaken fingers and toes.
Stretch the arms overhead. And roll to your right side. Come up to a seated position.
Placing the hands at heart center, we take a moment. Resiliency, the ability to bounce back or bounce forward, but ultimately to self-reflect upon our efforts and where they are placed, where we can let go of our effort that is not serving us anymore. How we can better take action in accordance to our intention. And then always, of course, abhyasa vairagya, letting go of the over-efforting, knowing when it's enough. And tomorrow's another day. Thank you so very much for tuning into the conversation around abhyasa vairagya, resilience, self-reflection. Hope that these postures have served you and my guidance has served you well. Namaste. Thank you everybody for tuning in. As always, for online teacher trainings, 200 and 300 hours, and also monthly live stream immersions where you get 3 classes a week. You can visit theyogimat.com, 2 T's in my name, M-A-T-T, theyogimat.com. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.